Oh. Welcome to the Third Eye Podcast. Abrupt and sudden. This one will be quick. And we're going to talk about only psychedelics this time, pretty much. Probably. So, back in the day, um, there's lots of different ways to do psychedelics. For a long time, people didn't just, do things in a sober manner. And they would use tools. So, there's lots of different ways to induce the psychedelic experiences. There's fasting, there's chanting, there's drumming, there's dancing. Yes, dancing can do that. And there's interesting interpretations on it. And people have tried to convey psychedelic experiences, even in movies, when they might not be realizing it, or in kids' shows when they might not be realizing it. Although some kids' shows like Adventure Time actually they have portrayed psychedelic experiences in small ways that unless you've done DMT you would know. Now maybe you can see the same things doing mushrooms, but I wouldn't know. I haven't done that many mushrooms yet, so allegedly. Um, but for a long time, people have been using these for religious experiences, and nowadays there is religion throughout everything, and I've heard it described like warming your hands on a fire that's not lit because psychedelics are not in the mix. I think that's a pretty accurate description because what you see, what you feel, what you experience, all of those things are profound and otherworldly and blah, 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 blah. You understand that it's beyond what can be explained. It's something you can only experience for yourself and then share those experiences with other people to some degree. But now there's also telepathy in the mix because you can do some psychedelic you can do some psychedelics with some friends and experience telepathic communication between them. I experience and have experienced telepathic communication with my wife and still do from time to time. It's getting more so now. Believe what you want of that. Know that it's possible for me. Know that if you don't want to believe me when I say it, that's okay. I get to experience it, and I am pretty happy that such a thing is possible for me, and I'm open to it being more possible, and that my mind is so limited right now, but it'll expand over time. But entheogens, meaning generating the divine within, that's another term being used for psychedelics. That's an interesting turn phrase. This frames the discussion not as drug use, but as the use of sacred substances for spiritual purposes. And if you think about that, to try and frame something that's not drug use, that I feel like is probably probably one of the strongest talking points I suppose I could have when it comes to talking to a friend about it, especially if they've had a psychedelic experience and it went bad. Like, you didn't realize that at the worst time in your life, you took something that was maybe it was designed to heal you and teach you things in ways you weren't not only were you not expecting, but you weren't prepared for, and you didn't set yourself up for success in that scenario. But I don't think I feel like calling it a drug is kind of it may even be dishonest. I coming out of my first trips would only refer to it as medicine. And when I would say the word medicine, it felt right. If only that could make sense to you. It felt like a medicine for my soul. Like my soul had a cold or something. It had something within it, a virus, if you will. Things things were inhabiting me that did not need to be there, and it recognized it, allowed me to recognize. Of course, it recognized it. If I were to call it God or something, of course, it acted as if it was all knowing and could articulate to me my problems and then help me to see them for what they were and put me in a new place. When I say put me in a new place, it's like when I left my body and then came back, I was a new soul returned to my body and realized I needed to take care of it. So how can you call that a drug? How can you call something like that or an experience like that a drug? I don't know if you can or if you should. It might be dishonest. But what is the term drug? Um, I don't think it. I don't think it fits. Medicine fits better than drug does. And if that's the case, if a medicine is what it is, why are people? Why would people take, you know, a hydro? Why would people take an opiate? Something that would give them all these problems. It's because they didn't educate themselves, and also the information that they had might have been corrupted. If you have corrupted information, you'll believe things that cause you to take pills that you think will fix your situation when instead you just need to stop eating things that are sprayed in folic acid and maybe take a little methylfolate and maybe take also a little hydrogenated water and the list goes on all the good things you can do for your body, but so does the bad. Are you really going to keep picking the bad? I hear that we're getting rid of food dyes finally. That's great. I'm happy about that. My wife likes Cheetos. And it'll be interesting to see the naked Cheetos, is what they're calling them. Naked. Naked is what the information should be to us. It should be clear cut. It should be all visible. It should be not clothed or hidden or draped upon. Information should be widely and vastly available to all of us, because if it was, I think we'd all come to the agreement that it can't be called a drug. Maybe medicine's not the word, but it's a lot closer than what drug is. Um, there's a lot of different kinds of psychedelic history too. Soma, the mysterious deified plant in the ancient Hindu text. Many scholars, like Gordon Wasson, argue it was a psychedelic mushroom. There's also the blue water lily, and there's DMT, which is can be prevalently found in the acacia bush, which some are speculating now is the burning bush that was beheld in the Bible. But there's many other places to have these experiences too. You could get it from a cactus. You could get it from the peyote cactus. So, what are these medicines here to do for us? I feel like if it's a medicine that's here to do anything for us, it's meant to heal us. So why? Maybe not why. How? How do we? How do we change the perspective on it? How do we pull it out of its uh, classification of drug and put it into something more like medicine? Because we already call medicines drugs, but like I said, I don't think this fits. This is something that's I said true medicine over and over and over. This is a true medicine for my soul. I I feel healed in a way that I cannot explain, and I also wanted that for myself from the experience, so that's important too. My intention on the matter was very much clear cut. I wanted to become a better person. I wanted to learn more about what this is all about, what I'm here to do, and I just know I don't want to be miserable anymore. I don't want to feel this way. And so it pulled me out, cleaned a few things off, showed me a few things, and it put me back. The very first experience was so fragmented. It was so confusing, but so much went on there, and I felt like all of it is very important. And I intend to see if it's possible that I can revisit a trip, if I can redo a trip, if that's possible. If some of the things that I've said that have happened are possible, then surely that can be possible too. I can revisit it and maybe see those things a little more clearly because I feel like it was important and I missed it because of where I was at the time. And whatever was on the other side was desperate to show me some things. And obviously, I was so astonished that I couldn't, pay attention to it all. But for example, this tablet was one of the first things I remember floating down in front of me with like electric yellow writing on it that had it obviously it had some kind of language I couldn't read on it, but it was brought down in front of me. What did it say? I was supposed to read it and I was supposed to understand it probably. And, probably because that happened and if I do have the ability to revisit a trip, it's so I can go back and be like, "What was that? Can you tell me? Can someone read this for me?" A tablet with some writing on it shown to me, and then all these energies crowding around like it was very confusing. It's like I was in a different world, but in that different world I was limited in what I could see. Like as it's like if I had limited eyesight, I guess. But I think it was just more my astonishment that I couldn't believe that I was in a different world with my eyes closed. Eyes closed, fully in a different place. Like just imagine flipping the switch on your wall and instead of the room going dark, it just changed. And I don't mean like the walls pull away and new walls come in and like another psychedelic time. I mean like just you flip the switch and it's all different. Instantly, it's all different. That's what it was like. I would close my eyes and boom, I was in a different place. I was not in my body and I was fully I say fully aware. I was just fully somewhere else. And then I would open my eyes and I was back in my studio apartment. It was that quick, that easy. It was that immensely um, encompassing too. Just flipping a switch here, there, and I wonder. I wonder if like you can set up some things to happen for yourself before you come into this life. Like if synchronicities come through and they try. I feel like they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you that more is going on. They're trying to tell you maybe that you have more control than you do. Either way, there's many different ways to dip your toes in there. Kikion, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Kikion, the ritual beverage consumed during the Eleusinian mysteries in ancient Greece, which offered initiates a profound, life changing vision. The secret ingredient is lost, but theories point to ergot, which is LSD or acid. Profound visions. I believe I've had a profound vision or two. Seeing that version of myself was a profound vision because it was the way that I was transported to that place where he was profound, and it's like something you'd see in a movie. It to try and like interpret it in art is the best thing I could possibly try to do because the colors, the lights, the tunnel, the passage from one place to the other was I've left my body before and it didn't feel like this. It was like being pulled from one place to another. I was pulled to this place to experience a thing for a short time. We all have the capability to look inward and go elsewhere. Elsewhere is capable. Elsewhere is capable. What does that mean? I don't know, but it came out of me, and it means something. Elsewhere is capable. In the elsewhere, capabilities flow like water. In your dreams, if you can control them, you're capable of many things. If you can lucid dream, you can have control over your dreams. And if you cannot give in to astonishment, you can control the dream and not wake up and do some interesting things. I don't think dreams are connected to the DMT space anymore, but I think they're involved. They could be like parallel places. There's a place for your mind, and then there's a place, like a personal bubble place for your mind, like a internal palace, if you will. I don't know. But in this place, if there was anything that I could pull from it, it's simply that maybe where I'm at now is not all there is. It's simply I could pull from it. The easiest thing I'd pull from it is that where we are is not the only place we could be, and it's also not the only place that we are, and that much more is going on. We can find out what's going on though if we pay more attention to the psychedelics. Psilocybin, mushrooms, and peyote, the long-standing continuous use of these substances is in indigenous Mesoamerican and Native American rituals. Psilocybin, mushrooms, and peyote. I didn't know they were using psilocybin mushrooms. This is AI over here pulling this up, so we could be segment 2, the modern science, Renaissance research. So this isn't just ancient history, because John Hopkins and NYU studies highlight the groundbreaking research on psilocybin. Participants in controlled settings report experiences with qualities that are indistinguishable from classic mystical experiences. Unity, a sense of interconnectedness with all people and things. Transcendence and of time and space, which is what I would have to say I experienced dealing with DMT, however, and seeing this other version of me. Time was completely distorted, and when you're in that place, the best thing I could say that feels different is like the atmosphere. If you could understand that an atmosphere of a place could feel different, like when you walk into a church versus walking into, let's say, walking into a church versus walking into a post office. Those places feel different. They don't just look different, they feel different. And when you're in a psychedelic place or space, it feels different. So I've also described it as feeling more real than real. Well, it's like in that place you are more aware of your own body. If you're articulating a body in that space, you are more aware of it. I have I have interacted with the world while on psychedelics, and it has seemed like that unity, that interconnectedness with all people and all things. I've felt that before, and what it how it articulated in my experience was that I was fully aware of my surroundings without having to look at them. So I was dancing throughout my space wherever I was. I was just enjoying myself, listening to music, and I would dance, and my limbs would enact upon the music, and they would do as they wish, and I was just a participant for the dancing and the enjoyment, and it was a great time. But I didn't have to think about smacking shit or hitting my shin on something or stubbing my toe. I just didn't think about it. I just danced, and I flowed throughout my apartment with ease and hit nothing and touch nothing, and I would roll around. I would do all sorts of fun, stupid bullshit like a child would. But I was fully aware of my surroundings, even though I didn't even have to think about it. I didn't touch anything. I could I could sense my surroundings, and my limbs would act on their own. And I just allowed it to happen. And she would laugh at me, of course, because it's a sight to behold to see me just childlike, I suppose. And it's certainly funny. But you know what? Funny, fun, it wouldn't matter to me either in that state, that mental place, because anxiety just melts away. I do what is fun. I act what is fun. I am what is fun in that moment. In those moments, I am what is fun. I just behave fun like. It just comes out of me. And while that's happening, it feels very healing actually. It feels great to be a child, to act like a child, to let the child out. And that is a healing experience within itself. There's talk of psyops where it's actually seemingly really easy to create an alternate personality. And I wonder sometimes just what is a psyop. And if it's possible that somewhere along the line, hearing that you have an inner child is a psyop that creates an inner child that makes you act childish. Are we ever really safe? Either way, it seems like you have an inner child. And when I let him out to play, he has a good time. My wife has a good time. I go back to work the next day and I feel refreshed and things are bright and new and colorful. And the child is like, great, let's go explore. Let's have a great time. Maybe that's not a child. Maybe that's just who you are beneath everything. Maybe that's just who you are beneath the surface of the skin and beneath all the ego that's been created to protect you in this world. Maybe that's just who you are and it gets pulled out briefly. That would make sense to me because your intention has a powerful effect on how you trip. Because if I sit down and I don't listen to anything and I'm in absolute silence, I will have very different experiences than I will if I listen to music. And now I'm wondering lately if that's just a part of the intention. If I sit down to listen to music and close my eyes and have an experience, it's far different than if I sit down with no music. And I wonder if it's because if all of what can be experienced in that state is under my control. And I'm beginning to wonder that. And because when I play music, it uses the music. When I don't play music, other stuff happens. So maybe I need to do a little more sitting in silence and see what gets revealed. Anywho, once again, be nice to yourself. Explore the reality that you live in. Your interpretation of the world around you, it affects your life. If you're miserable, you just simply need to not be miserable. See? It's that easy. No, come on. But you don't have to go smoke weed to figure that out. You don't have to smoke cigarettes. You don't have to use nicotine pouches. You don't have to do any of those things to figure it out. You don't have to do psychedelics to figure that out. People figure it out, but if you're having a hard time figuring it out, look up information on psychedelics because it's coming to you, near you soon, sooner than you realize. If before you thought that there would never be a weed store in your county, and now there is, you need to realize that is the symbol of change, and that it'll not be very long before psychedelics are on your corner too. And if you're not willing to explore them, then this world is heading in a crazy direction. We're getting crazier and we're getting cooler. Things are getting far more insane than we can ever comprehend. And they are also getting far cooler than we can ever imagine. And if we ride the line just between those two, we'll come out to a very fantastic place where on the corner market you'd find psychedelics and maybe a Coca-Cola that's not bad for you. And maybe you go home and you hop in a VR simulation and it doesn't, hijack your brain or use your brain for any kind of recycling power to run its ad software. We can ride the line and we can enter a new world, and we can do that if we remain open-minded. And if you're listening to this, you're probably open-minded enough to think that psychedelics helped you and or will help you. And because if they didn't help you, quote unquote, I would say, you know, you maybe just didn't allow them to. You need to allow them to. You have to, before you go into an experience, you need to take it seriously and you need to take a deep breath and you need to want something for yourself that's good. Because if you do that, it probably will take care of you. That's one thing that I'm trying to articulate to a few people. It's not, I don't think it's out to scare you. I don't think it's going to try and scare you. I think it's going to show you that you are cared about and that if you've genuinely decided to make the decision to have this comeback to change your life and do better, then when you have this experience, it will amplify those things for you. It will amplify the realization that you're on the right path. It will amplify that you're doing a good job. It will remove maybe a couple obstacles for you to make, get reaching your goals far easier mentally in your mind. Because limiting yourself in your mind is how everything around you in your world limits you. Remove your limiter and your governor in your mind. And psychedelics can do that, especially if you let them. Join me next week on the Third Eye Podcast.